clouds in the air. In the distance, he watched the dark speck of a deer browsing at the lakeshore. That's what Puck was now. A leftover, like the other members of Jim's little security crew. They'd given him his discharge papers, the ones that said, "You're not good enough anymore. Oh, you may feel fantastic. You may be in the best physical shape of your life. But trust us, your liver is busted. Can't have it."
"I'm sorry, Captain. You're a true hero," C.O. Torres had said. "I know how much the service meant to you."
Meant. That quickly, Puck's tenure as an officer in the Air Force was a thing of the past, fading in the rearview mirror. Puck wondered if the guys in his platoon held a living funeral for him after he'd left the barracks for the last time. He'd told himself he wouldn't be bitter. He'd told himself that an honorable discharge had opened 1,000 doors through which his future still glittered bright and hopeful. Then Carol had left. "It's not you," she'd promised, though her eyes said, "It's just that you're angrier than you used to be, and you're colder than you used to be, and you're more short-tempered than you used to be." She took the dog, and the interviews he'd scored with Raytheon and CNG Logistics never flowered into meaningful job offers. And, well, he took piecemeal work with Jim's crew of misfits to fill his days.
"Hey, Puck!"
Jim snapped his fingers in front of Puck's face, making him jerk upright. Jim chuckled.
"You're on watch, you pissant. There's no eye-fucking the local wildlife while you're on duty."
Puck ran his hands through his hair and took another gulp of soup, which had cooled to an acceptable temperature.
"Yeah, and since when do you guys let the clients source the catering for your jobs anyway? When you told me that meals were provided on this job, I was figuring Five Guys, or even Subway, not old man Wuthers tottering around his kitchen, frying up bacon and eggs in the grease he scraped out from beneath his kitchen sink." "We voted, actually."
Jim reached across the table and snatched up the uneaten half of Puck's sandwich, which he polished off.
"The client didn't want any of us leaving the property to pick up food, or any delivery drivers coming by. So he offered us a bonus to let him cook for us, instead of our usual meal stipend."
Puck grunted. He hadn't gotten to participate in that vote. Jim's boss, Klaus, had called him up in the small hours of the morning to offer him a last-minute job when one of his regular guys had gotten food poisoning. 6 armed guards for hire were patrolling this lakeside cabin property. The client had been firm. There must be 6 guards. No fewer and no more. 6. Klaus had shrugged.
"Some kind of OCD. You must have really lost your stomach when they gave you those officer bars."
Jim shook his head wonderingly.
"Turning your nose up at bacon. Whew."
He stuck his index finger beneath his nose, parallel to his greasy lips, in a caricature of some old-fashioned highbrow gentleman.
"I say, cheerio, my lads. What's this you're eating now? A chuck steak? Good gracious. I'm surprised they even sell that tripe in the markets. Why, you'd never catch me dead with anything less than a prime fillet in my—"
Puck snatched the 2-way radio off the table between them and fiddled with the dial.
"Jeff, Lynn, how's everything looking out in the woods?"
Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Jim drop his mocking finger and turn his attention back to his soup, with his shoulders bent into a sad bow.
"All clear at the head of the driveway, Captain."
Through the radio speaker, Lynn's voice was a little thin and nasally, and a lot sarcastic. Puck remembered why he'd agreed to take balcony watch with Jim. Lynn was an asshole.
"Copy that,"
Jeff reported. There was a thin layer of static over his voice. He was further away in the woods.
"Nothing out here but the birds. Saw a nice little yellow-billed cuckoo over on a blackberry bush."
"Better add that one to the list," Lynn advised, "and write it into the Audubon Society."
"Go fuck yourself,"
Jeff answered easily.
"I just reached the barbed wire fence at the edge of the property around the west side of the lake. I'm going to loop around to the shore and head back to the cabin."